When an engineer builds a suspension bridge, there is absolutely no debate about gravity. They calculate a specific force for a specific load-bearing beam, and they know exactly what's going to happen. It's just physics.
Right, it's a clean, hard science.
Exactly. It's governed by absolute, unbreakable laws.
A steel beam doesn't, suddenly decide to buckle just because it's feeling a little insecure that day.
Yeah, or because it saw a nicer bridge down the river.
Exactly. The math just works.
So then you step into the world of personal finance, and suddenly all those clean, absolute laws just evaporate.
I really do. We desperately want money to behave like physics.
They do. We want our spreadsheets to give us the one right answer.
But the source material we are diving into today completely shatters that illusion.
It totally does. We are doing a deep dive into extensive excerpts from Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money, and the central premise here is, well, it's wildly counterintuitive.
Yeah, doing well with money has almost nothing to do with how smart you are, and absolutely everything to do with how you behave.
Which I find so refreshing. Reading about finance without drowning in spreadsheets for once.
It completely flips the traditional academic script, right?
Yeah.
Finance is almost universally taught as this math-based field where you input data and get an optimal output.
Right.
But these sources reframe money entirely. They approach it as a soft skill. It's a behavioral science driven by our psychology, our emotional triggers, our personal histories, and just endless human nuance.
Which is exactly why our mission for this deep dive is to crack this material open specifically for you, the listener.
Right, whether you're a professional trying to navigate a high-stakes corporate ladder,
Or a homemaker managing the intense daily complexities of a family budget and running a household.
the goal is exactly the same.
Yeah, we're pulling out the actionable, timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness that you can actually implement in your daily routine, like no matter your age or income bracket.
And to prove that behavior completely trumps raw intelligence, the text opens with this stark, almost unbelievable contrast between two financial lives.
Oh man, we have to talk about Ronald Reed.
Yes, the rural Vermont gas station attendant.
He's a gas station attendant and a janitor at JCPenney. And the details of his life are fascinating simply because they are so utterly ordinary.
So ordinary.
Like he hitchhiked to campus in high school, he chopped firewood for fun,
Right.
he bought a 2-bedroom house for $12,000 at age 38, and just lived there for the rest of his life. Totally unassuming.
But then he died in 2014 at the age of 92, and he made international headlines.
It's crazy. Out of the nearly 3 million Americans who died that year, fewer than 4,000 had a net worth of over $8 million.
And Ronald Reed, the janitor, was one of them.
He left $2 million to his stepkids and $6 million to his local hospital and library.
And there was no secret inheritance here, right? No lottery win. The mechanism of his wealth was just pure, relentless patience.
Yeah.
He saved what little he could from his modest paychecks and invested in blue-chip stocks, massive, historically stable companies that pay out regular dividends.
And then he just let decades of compound interest do the heavy lifting.
Exactly. He let the snowball roll down the hill for 50 years.
Then the text holds up a mirror to Reed by introducing Richard Fuscone. Fuscone is everything Reed was not.
Oh, completely the opposite.
Harvard-educated, an MBA, a massively successful Merrill Lynch executive. He was literally on Crane's 40 under 40 list.
A top-tier professional.
Right. But in the mid-2000s, Fuscone used his immense financial knowledge to borrow heavily. He took on massive leverage to expand an 18,000-square-foot mansion in Connecticut.
We are talking 11 bathrooms, 2 elevators, 2 pools.
Costing $90,000 a month just to maintain.
Which is wild, because leverage is a double-edged sword. It amplifies your gains when things go well, but it accelerates your ruin when the environment changes.
And boy, did it change.
Yeah, when the 2008 financial crisis hit, all that perceived future value he borrowed against just vanished overnight.
It turned his finances to dust. He went bankrupt, told a judge he had no income, and that mansion was sold in a foreclosure auction for 75% less than the insurance company figured it was worth.
And this happened just months before Ronald Reed, the janitor, left his $8 million fortune to charity.
The contrast is just nuts. It exposes a truth you really won't find in any other profession.
Yeah.
Reed had patience, and Fuscone had greed.
Think about it. In what other highly technical field could this possibly happen?
Come on.
You will never hear a news story about a local janitor performing a complex heart transplant better than a Harvard-trained surgeon.
Or designing a skyscraper better than a top architect.
Exactly. But in investing, a person with absolutely no formal training can vastly outperform a highly educated professional solely because of behavioral temperament.
So if the math doesn't protect the Harvard executive, it really feels like we are treating money like a diet plan.
How do you mean?
Well, everyone knows the mathematical formula for weight loss, right?
Hmm.
Eat fewer calories, move your body more. Just like everyone knows the foundational finance formula. Save 10% of your income and build a 6-month emergency fund.
Right. The basics.
But knowing the biological formula for weight loss tells you absolutely nothing about the chemical reaction in your brain when a dessert cart rolls past your table after a highly stressful day.
Oh, that makes perfect sense because your brain is completely depleted. Your ego is fatigued from making decisions all day.
Yes.
Your stress hormones are elevated, and in that moment, the immediate dopamine hit of the sugar entirely overrides the abstract, long-term math of future weight loss.
And money operates on the exact same chemical mechanism. Knowing what to do with a spreadsheet doesn't tell you how to calm your nervous system when the stock market drops 20% in a week.
Which perfectly explains the next major theme of the text, which is why human behavior is so wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, if finance is behavioral, we have to look at the environment that shapes those behaviors. This is incredibly relevant for couples or families trying to merge entirely different financial perspectives under one roof.
It really is a huge issue for families.
The sources propose a concept that completely rewired how I view other people's spending habits. Basically, your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.0000001% of what has actually happened in the world.
But they make up 80% of how you think the world works.
Exactly.
We project our microscopic slice of reality onto the rest of humanity, and we just assume anyone who deviates from our worldview is making a logical error.
Right.
Even the most powerful people fall into this trap. The text highlights John F. Kennedy.
Oh, this story is wild.
Yeah, during the 1960 election, a reporter asked him what he remembered from the Great Depression. Kennedy openly admitted he had no firsthand knowledge of it.
None.
His family's fortune actually grew during the Depression. They had bigger houses, more servants. He didn't truly grasp the devastation of the Depression until he read about it in a textbook at Harvard.
The biggest economic catastrophe of a generation, and he was completely insulated from it.
Yeah.
His worldview was fundamentally altered by sheer luck of birth,
And the data shows this happening across entire generations, too.
like with the stock market.
Yeah, take the stock market. If you were born in 1970, the S&P 500 increased almost tenfold, adjusted for inflation, during your teens and 20s.
Wow.
Those are your most neurologically formative years when your brain is cementing its understanding of risk and reward. So you learn that the stock market is a wealth-generating machine.
But if you were born in 1950,
The market went literally nowhere in your teens and 20s. It was completely stagnant.
right.
So those two groups of people are going to navigate their entire adult lives with completely different, deeply ingrained views on how much risk to take and what is considered safe.
Okay, I understand how different eras shape our baseline assumptions, but I am going to push back a little on the book's overarching idea that no one is crazy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's look at the lottery ticket example provided in the text. The lowest income households in the U.S. spend an average of $412 a year on lotto tickets.
Right.
Simultaneously, 40% of Americans cannot come up with $400 in an emergency. So, statistically, the people buying $400 in lottery tickets are the exact same people who say they couldn't cover a $400 broken alternator on their car.
It sounds totally irrational.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care what era you were born in. Buying lotto tickets when you have zero emergency savings is mathematically insane.
Right. From the outside, looking through the lens of a middle-class spreadsheet, it looks insane.
Totally.
But we have to ask what the subconscious narrative is behind that purchase. The text asks us to step out of our own shoes and imagine the daily psychological grind of living paycheck to paycheck.
Okay.
Saving $10 a week feels mathematically futile when the gap between your reality and a stable middle-class life, owning a home, taking a vacation, sending a kid to college, when that gap is seemingly insurmountable.
Yeah, I see that.
Higher wages feel locked behind degrees you don't have. So for someone in that environment, buying a lottery ticket is not an investment strategy.
What is it then?
It is the only moment in their week where they can hold a tangible, physical piece of paper that buys them the right to dream about getting the good stuff everyone else just takes for granted.
Oh, wow. So they are essentially buying a temporary psychological bridge
Mm-hmm.
over their reality.
Exactly. We certainly don't have to agree with it as a strategy. Buying lotto tickets when you are broke remains a surefire way to stay broke.
Right.
But understanding the psychological mechanism behind it allows us to judge less and understand human behavior more. Every financial decision a person makes sense to them in that very moment,
It checks a box they desperately need to check.
even if that box is just emotional relief.
That makes perfect sense for someone lacking resources who is trying to buy a flicker of hope. But what happens when we move to the absolute top of the income ladder?
Oh, that's where things get really interesting.
What happens when a professional gets the promotion, gets the equity, gets the corner office? Because the text points out that the ultimate trap for successful professionals isn't a lack of resources. It's the total inability to define the word enough.
And this is where we see the most spectacular, entirely avoidable self-destruction.
Rajat Gupta is the perfect case study here.
Yeah.
This is a man who was orphaned in Kolkata as a teenager. He fights his way up, and by his mid-40s, he is the CEO of McKinsey, literally the most prestigious consulting firm on the planet.
Incredible success story.
He is partnering on philanthropic work with Bill Gates. By 2008, his net worth is reported to be $100 million.
Wow.
A basic 5% return on that wealth generates almost $600 an hour, 24 hours a day, while he sleeps. He has conquered the world,
But
but it wasn't enough. He desperately wanted to be a billionaire. So while sitting on the board of Goldman Sachs during the 2008 crisis, he learns Warren Buffett is going to inject $5 billion to save the bank.
oh no.
16 seconds after the confidential board meeting ends, Gupta calls a hedge fund manager to buy Goldman stock. It was blatant insider trading, and it sent him to federal prison.
And Bernie Madoff falls into the exact same behavioral trap.
Wow.
Yeah. Before the infamous Ponzi scheme that became his legacy, Madoff ran a perfectly legitimate, highly profitable market-making business.
Man, you didn't realize that.
Market making is this highly complex, slow and steady mechanism of earning fractions of pennies on millions of trades. It is unglamorous, but it was earning him $25 to $50 million a year, legally.
Which is massive success.
But he threw all of that away, ruined countless lives, and went to prison for life because he had an ego-driven need for astronomical, impossible returns.
He needed the adulation of being a financial wizard more than he needed the actual money.
Exactly.
You know, my theory on this is that it's a dopamine adaptation problem. Like, when you achieve that level of wealth, buying a new Ferrari doesn't even move the chemical needle in your brain anymore.
Right, it's just another car.
The only thing that provides a thrill is the feeling of superiority over your peers. You risk money you desperately need to get money you don't need at all just to feel something.
The author validates that exact theory by identifying the hardest financial skill in the world, getting the goalpost to stop moving.
That is so hard.
Modern capitalism is fundamentally designed to generate two things in massive quantities: wealth and envy. If your expectations and your desires rise faster than your actual income, you will permanently feel like you are falling behind.
Yeah.
You take one step forward in your career, but the goalpost of what you think you need moves 2 steps ahead.
It brings to mind the Las Vegas casino rule mentioned in the text.
Oh, I love that part.
A dealer notes that the only way to win in a Las Vegas casino is to exit as soon as you enter.
Yeah.
And social comparison operates on the exact same ruthless mathematical disadvantage. Whether you are a homemaker scrolling Instagram and comparing your kitchen remodel to celebrities,
Or a rookie baseball player making $500,000 a year who feels impoverished because he shares a locker room with Mike Trout in his $430 million contract.
the ceiling of social comparison is infinite. There is always someone higher up the ladder.
Oh,
The only way to win that game is to aggressively refuse to play it.
you have to cultivate an internal metric for success rather than an external one. An insatiable appetite for more will invariably push you past the point of reason and into the realm of deep regret.
Which brings us to the core philosophy of the source material. If the goal isn't to buy the biggest house, to dominate your neighbors in a game of social comparison, what is the actual purpose of accumulating money?
The text forces us to completely redefine the word wealth.
Yes. There is this incredible story about the author working as a valet at a luxury hotel in Los Angeles.
Oh, this guy.
He regularly interacted with a tech executive who was brilliant. I mean, he designed vital Wi-Fi router components and sold multiple companies, but he was wildly insecure and desperate to project dominance.
So what does he do?
One day, he hands a valet several $1,000s in cash, demands he go to a jewelry store and buy $1,000 gold coins.
Okay.
Then the executive and his friends walk down to the dock and literally skip the gold coins into the Pacific Ocean like rocks,
That is insane.
just to see whose goes furthest, purely for the thrill of destroying money in front of people.
Wow.
And on another occasion, he breaks a $500 lamp in the hotel restaurant. When the manager asks him to pay for it, he pulls out a $5,000 brick of cash, slaps it on the table, and tells the manager never to insult him like that again.
Well, the punchline to that behavior is entirely predictable. The author later learned that this executive eventually went completely broke.
The mechanism of his downfall was his own ego. He needed everyone to see how rich he was.
Which highlights the ultimate paradox of money. True wealth is what you do not see.
What you don't see.
Right. Wealth is the luxury car that was not purchased. It is the diamond necklace not bought. It is the first-class upgrade you declined so the money could stay in your investment account.
So when most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they actually mean is they want to spend $1 million.
Yes. And spending $1 million is the exact opposite of being a millionaire. It is destroying the wealth to buy the illusion of wealth.
The highest dividend money pays isn't a depreciating sports car. It is the ability to wake up every single morning and say, I have the autonomy to do whatever I want today.
Controlling your time is the ultimate wealth.
Absolutely. For a professional, that invisible wealth means having the financial flexibility to wait 6 months for a great job offer instead of taking the first toxic one out of sheer desperation.
And for a homemaker, it means the profound peace of mind to handle a broken furnace or taking time off for a sick kid without spiraling into a full-blown financial panic attack.
But that creates a massive psychological problem for daily implementation.
How so?
If wealth is invisible and I get zero social validation for the money I save, how on earth do I stay motivated day to day? We are visual creatures. We see richness as the guy driving the Ferrari.
Oh, yeah.
But when we see that Ferrari, all we mathematically know about that guy is that his bank account is $100,000 smaller than it was yesterday. Going back to my diet analogy, we can see someone's physical fitness, but we don't see the heavy, calorie-dense meals they didn't eat. How do we keep our families motivated when the metric for success is entirely invisible to the outside world?
That is the ultimate daily challenge of modern finance. And the author tackles it head-on in a chapter called Confessions, where he outlines the practical mechanics of how he manages his own family's money.
Okay, let's hear the mechanics.
His ultimate overriding goal is simply independence. He is not trying to beat the stock market or outsmart hedge funds. He is optimizing for sleeping well at night.
Love that.
To achieve that, you have to fundamentally redefine what the act of saving actually is. The text defines savings as the gap between your ego and your income.
The gap between your ego and your income. Let's dig into that.
Past a certain level of basic comfort, like once your shelter, food, and security are handled, almost all additional spending is just your ego approaching your income.
Just trying to show off.
Yeah, it is spending money to signal to the tribe that you have resources. It's an evolutionary instinct. So if you want to increase your savings rate to buy back your time, you don't necessarily need to negotiate a massive raise or work 80 hours a week. You need to raise your humility.
Oh, that's powerful.
You need to stop caring what the neighbors think of your 7-year-old car.
Taking the ego out of the equation is liberating. It just removes the exhausting pressure of keeping up appearances.
It really does.
And speaking of removing pressure, the text offers a rule for daily implementation that I found incredibly relieving. It says, do not aim to be coldly rational with your money. Aim to be reasonable.
Because academic finance assumes humans are perfectly rational, emotionless calculators seeking to maximize utility.
But we aren't.
No, it dictates mathematically optimal strategies. But you are not a spreadsheet. You are a biological organism that feels fear.
Yeah. In the real world, a mathematically optimal investment strategy is completely useless if it makes you lose sleep and panic sell everything at the bottom of a recession.
Exactly. Your amygdala hijacks your brain when you see your life savings drop. A reasonable investor who chooses a technically imperfect, slightly more conservative strategy that they can actually stomach during a crash has a massive edge.
Because they'll actually stick with it.
Right, while the rational investor panics and abandons the perfect plan.
You have to design a strategy that accounts for human frailty. You have to endure.
And a massive part of enduring is building what the text calls a margin of safety, or leaving room for error.
We have to structurally accept that our goals and our family's goals will change. There's this brilliant line about how a 5-year-old boy wants nothing more than to drive a tractor when he grows up.
We are terrible forecasters of our future selves. What a professional wants at age 25 is rarely what they want at 45.
So true.
If the most important part of every financial plan is planning on the plan not going according to plan, then a margin of safety isn't just a conservative cash buffer, it is a psychological buffer.
Giving yourself permission to change your mind without your entire financial house collapsing.
Yeah.
Applying that to a family budget means you don't allocate every single dollar to a strict, unbreakable category. You leave breathing room for life's inevitable chaos.
Which ties perfectly into how we need to view market downturns and economic chaos. The text argues we need to undergo a psychological shift and view market volatility as a fee, not a fine.
Okay, let's unpack the difference there. Fee versus fine.
It comes down to how we process guilt and reward. When you get a parking ticket, that is a fine. It means you made a mistake, you broke a rule, you are being punished, and you should change your behavior to avoid doing it again.
Right, bad outcome.
But when you buy a ticket to take your family to Disneyland, that is a fee. You are willingly paying the price of admission for a long-term experience.
Okay, I see where this is going.
When the stock market drops 15%, human nature makes us view it as a fine. We think we did something wrong, we feel guilty, and we try to avoid the pain by pulling our money out.
But it's not a fine. It is the historical price of admission. It is just the fee you pay for the long-term compound growth of the market over decades. If you reframe it in your mind as a fee, it stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like a necessary step in the process.
And you are much more likely to stay in the game when the ride gets bumpy.
Because survival is the entire game.
There are a million flashy ways to get wealthy, but there is only one proven way to stay wealthy. Some combination of frugality and paranoia.
The people who survive, who don't wipe themselves out chasing the absolute highest return or the biggest mansion, are the ones who get to stick around long enough to let compound interest work its magic.
That's the real secret.
Looking back at all the sources we've unpacked today in this deep dive, the biggest shift for me is realizing that the numbers on the screen are secondary to the psychology behind the screen.
Absolutely.
I mean, the story of the janitor out investing the Harvard executive proves that patience always outlasts pedigree.
And for me, it's the empathy piece. Recognizing that someone's worldview was forged in a completely different economic furnace than mine makes it so much easier to understand their financial decisions without jumping straight to judgment.
Yeah. We've covered the danger of the moving goalpost, why the hardest financial skill is defining enough, and why true wealth is the invisible restraint that buys you control over your own time.
We've looked at why raising your humility is more effective than raising your income, and why aiming to be reasonable will always be striving to be perfectly rational.
You just have to leave room for error, because life will always throw something at you that wasn't on the spreadsheet.
So true.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to take into your day. I want you to think about a major purchase you are currently planning. It could be a kitchen remodel, a luxury car, a massive vacation, whatever it is.
Take a hard look at it.
Right. Take a hard look at the motivation behind it and ask yourself, is this something I genuinely want for my own personal comfort and joy? Or is it a subconscious signal designed to show other people that I am successful?
That's a tough question.
It is. If it turns out to be a signal, what would happen if you took that exact same amount of money and converted it into the one invisible asset that everyone on Earth truly envies, a little more control over your own time?
Think about the engineer and that suspension bridge from the beginning.
You cannot control the economic winds, and you certainly can't control gravity. But you are in total control of the margin of safety you build into your own life.
Design the structure to handle the storm so you don't have to panic when the wind starts blowing.
Build it to last. Keep your ego in check. Value your time over your possessions, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.